Hare Krishna Prabhuji Danda.
Hare Krishna, Dandatranam. So let's begin with today's session. We are discussing chapter 15. The title Prabhupada given in the Bhagavad Gita is the Yoga of the Supreme Person. It's also known as Purushottama Yoga. Purushottama Yoga, and a very beautiful chapter. So before jumping into that chapter, let us do a quick recap. We are in the last section of Bhagavad Gita, where the first six chapters took us from karma to bhakti. It started with the question by asked by Arjuna whether I should act or I should not act. So the focus is more karma. What activities I should perform. no Shreya, what is a Shreya? Shreya means what is best for me, that you tell, o Krishna. So Arjuna, while surrendering, when he speaks the verse karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha cheta, what is my duty in this current situation? So that was the focus, and the transition that what we saw is from karma to bhakti. So Krishna tell Arjuna not to give up work, not to give up work. Whichever varna and ashram we belong to, we should stay there. We should not hurriedly give up our activities. If you are a student, don't hurriedly give it up. Don't hurriedly give up your grahastha ashram. Don't stop taking your care of your material duties. So do your duties, but parallelly cultivate Krishna consciousness. That is the instruction that we've seen repeatedly given in the first six chapters. In order to do that, if you're busy doing work, you need to use your senses in order to do the activity. And performing devotional service requires some level of sense control. So, starting from second chapter, Krishna has been advising Arjuna to control your senses using your mind and applying your intelligence. So he says senses are better, working senses are better than dull matter. Higher than senses is the mind, and higher than mind is the intelligence, and above intelligence is the spirit soul, who is supposed to be driving everything, who is supposed to be yayati dharyate jagat, supposed to be exploit all these material resources for fulfilling its desires. So that is the background. And then the transition we've seen from karma to bhakti. When Krishna concludes that section by speaking a beautiful verse that yogi nam api sarvesham, amongst all the yogis, be it karma yogi, jnana yogi, dhyana yogi, or bhakti, the, devotional service, the one who is bhakti yogi. Every amongst all of them, bhakti yogi is the sarvasreshta. And that is, Krishna says, my opinion. Krishna does not have to give opinion. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmyam tu sakshat bhagavat pranita. Whatever Krishna speak, whatever Krishna do, whatever Krishna recommends, that becomes dharma. So that is the statement by none other than Yamraj. Uh, so it's not, he doesn't have to give opinion, but he expresses his opinion, and we being jivas, having free will, we have option to accept his opinion and follow his instruction, or reject his opinion and follow instructions given by our own mind and be bound by maya. The next section, the 7 to 12, is Kevala Bhakti, pure devotional service. Starting from the verse, Mai Asakta Mana Partha, Yogam Yunjam Mad Ashrayaha. So, and everything, all of this starts with the process of hearing, and it takes you deep into the devotional service. Kevala Bhakti, pure devotional service, where if you become pure devotee, Satata Kirta Yanto Mam Yatantascha Drudavrataha Namasyantascha Mam Nitya Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So if you become pure devotee of Lord, then Krishna says, I will do many things for you. I will do yoga kshema vahamyaham. Even if you fall down, I will ensure that you come back to me. Whatever you will offer me, I will accept. And like that, he glorified the path of bhakti in the ninth chapter and concludes it in the 12th chapter. Starting from 13th chapter onwards, comes the section of jnana. Jnana is that those people who don't want things to be very straightforward, who likes contemplation, going deep into the contemplation, who likes things little complex. If it's too straightforward, it can become boring for them. So gyanis are the one who are looking, who also need to come to Krishna. So Krishna provides, for them, Krishna provides this section, from starting with 13th going till 18th. So 13th to 18 is a section where we see how a jnani can transition into bhakti. A jnani who is otherwise doing mental speculation, who is otherwise doing deep thinking, and and debating with, using various references and doing that kind of a scholarly activity, how ultimately he also needs to come to bhakti yoga if he has to achieve his objective. So the chapter opens with very complex terms, being the complex questions being asked by Arjuna. Arjuna is asking, what is Prakriti? What is Purusha? Who is Purusha? What is Kshetra? What do you mean by Kshetrajna? What is knowledge and what is object of knowledge? A very complex section, but we discussed a couple of Sundays back, and how Krishna and how Srila Prabhupada has expertly analyzed this section and told us, told us the nectar. They told us the nectar what we want to take. How there are two kshetrajnas. One kshetrajna is having a limited jurisdiction. It's like a king who has given one acre land to every citizen in his kingdom. Now, every citizen, every farmer who owns 1 acre land is also kshetrajna, is also knower of the field. He knows his field. He know his 1 acre land. That is in his possession. But king who owns the entire kingdom, he knows each and every 1 acre, who no matter in whose possession it might be. Similarly, we know what goes inside our body. We have awareness of our body, but we don't have awareness of other people's body. But Krishna, being present in everyone's body, he is not only aware of our body, he is aware of everyone else's body also. That is the difference. And we've seen, why what is the bija vakya we studied in of Bhagavad Gita, the root cause. A lot of people are engineers, so they like to do root cause analysis of everything. So what is the root cause of our existence in the material nature? Krishna speaks this beautiful verse, 13.22, where he says, Sat asata yoni janmasu, that living entity takes birth in lower and higher various species of life, good and evil. Prabhupada translate good and evil. Various species. He takes birth. Janmasu. Sat asata yoni janmasu. Why he takes birth in lower and higher species of life? Because he associate with gunas of, three gunas, that sattva rajut tamo guna. Now, karana guna sangosya. What is the reason? Reason is guna sanga, guna association with the modes of material nature. And one may ask, why then a living entity, a soul, spirit soul, why does he have to associate with the gunas? Because bhunte prakriti jan gunan. The third section, is a proper order. If this is one, two, three, four. So when we look backwards, four, three, two, one, this is what we are understanding, that Sat Asata Yoni Janmasu. This is the root cause of our problem, that we are bound in a cycle of repeated birth and repeated death. Sometimes in men body, sometime in female body, sometime in Hindu body, sometime in Parsi body, and so on and so forth. So continuously, life after life, we are taking another body, another parents, another brothers, sisters, spouses, children, another nationality, another PAN number, another Aadhaar number, and another bank account, and another educational degrees, and so on and so forth. So They've been repeatedly doing it for millions and millions of lifetime. Sat asat yoni janmasu. One may ask, if this is a journey and you're on a multi-life journey, what is the destination of this journey? Destination is bhunte prakriti jagunan. We want to somehow enjoy matter. So the a boy wants to boy a soul in male body derives pleasure by watching female body, a soul in female body, so they want to enjoy other body and vice versa. So there is a desire to enjoy prakriti. uh, so this prakriti, the desire to enjoy prakriti, is the root cause of our problem. Purusham prakriti suhi. Purusham, everyone who has a desire to enjoy is called Purusha. And Prakriti is the one who is enjoyed. In spiritual world, Krishna is the only Purusha, and everybody else is his Prakriti, is his will be enjoyed by Krishna. That is the reality. And when we give up our enjoying mentality, then we are able to surrender to Krishna. We are able to become servant of Krishna, servant of the servant of servants of Krishna. Eventually, when we come to that position, then we give up our enjoying mentality and we work for pleasure of Krishna. And that can be relieved, that will ultimately relieve us from the cycle of repeated birth and repeated death. As long as we act for purpose of enjoying, we will perform our actions um, in one of the gunas, in sattva guna, raja guna, or tamo guna, or any combination of these gunas, and any such action performed will produce a fruit. To enjoy or suffer for that fruit, we have to come again. We have to take another body. We are forced to accept another body. So this can be Krishna says in 13.26 where we say Shutva Nebhya Upasate. If you learn, if you get sufficient knowledge about Jeev, Jagat, Jagadish and their interactions, that knowledge is sufficient for your liberation. But how one can get that knowledge? Krishna gives the key. Key is Shrutva Anyebhya Upasate. Shrutva is the starting with the process of hearing, and upasate, hearing and not forgetting what we heard, hearing and acting on what we heard. So it's most important that we hear attentively, we get the clarifications that we need, and when we act on what we have heard. If we become lazy in acting, when we will not benefit much. It's like you may know a lot about weight control or weight reduction. You may have read hundreds of books on weight reduction, but giving this knowledge will not help you reduce weight. Unless you act on that knowledge, your weight will not be reduced. So, similarly, we may hear Bhagavad Gita, we may hear Bhagavatam, but unless we act on what we have heard, we will not be benefited. So, Krishna urges us to take action on our knowledge. Just don't hear, act. Now, this is the push that Bhagavad Gita continuously gives. In every section, there is a push. The 10th chapter, Krishna says that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam. If you know this, I am everything, I am the source of everything, and everything that you can see, perceive, feel, touch, and understand has been emanated from me. Now, this is the purport of the verse. This explains how great Krishna is. He's not ordinary person, he's not a chariot driver who's speaking. He's he is that great Krishna who has assumed the role to play as a chariot driver for the pleasure of his devotee. So that great Krishna, if you understand about his greatness, what will you do? You will itimatva bhajante mam buddha. If you are wise, you will begin worshipping Krishna in wholehearted way. So that is what we are all supposed to do. So Bhagavad Gita gives knowledge and gives you suggested action on that knowledge. And unless we do both, we gain knowledge and we act on our knowledge, we will not benefit. Chapter 14, we discuss the acronym we discussed was trap. Three modes of material nature. Ultimately, we are bound. We are bound by ropes. If you see here, there are ropes. Now, it's not shackled with ropes. It's bound with ropes. So the people may feel that they have little bit freedom because they are not really bound. They can move their hand. They can do things. They can think. So to some extent they have little freedom, but ultimately they are bound. Their actions are bound, and those ropes one can and how we are bound, we've seen this, discuss this chat, that there's a motivation for our action. What is the motivation to act in the Shuddha Sattva? What is the motivation to act for a Sattva Guni person? What is the motivation to act for a Rajoguni person and Tamoguni person? What are the characteristics of person who is in Shuddha Sattva? So we should all try to come to the Sattva Guna initially and then to ultimately Shuddha Sattva. So if we pure devotees reside in Shuddha Sattva all the time, so whatever they are thinking, whatever they are doing, everything is for the pleasure of Krishna. They are ready to do anything for Krishna. These devotees with the Shuddha Sattva mood holds nothing back. So they give whatever they have, they give it to Krishna. If they have skills for singing and playing a musical instrument, they give it for Krishna, use it for Krishna. They have skills for speaking, they use it in service of Krishna. If they have managerial skills, they use it in service of Krishna. If they have wealth, they use that in service of Krishna. Whatever they have, their only goal of their life is to please Krishna, to make Krishna happy, and all their actions are directed towards making Krishna happy. So people who are Shuddha devotees, pure devotees who live life in the Shuddha Sattva, holds nothing back for themselves. One to Krishna, two for myself. No, they don't have that policy. So they give everything to Krishna, and whatever Krishna wants, they accept it as his prasad. So devotee hold nothing back, and nothing holds a devotee back. Uh, Once you are in this mood, no matter how difficult your conditions will be, you will continue to act for the pleasure of Krishna. You will continue to work for the pleasure of Krishna. You will continue to do your seva. You will continue to do your devotional service, no matter how difficult the situations become. Example of Prahlad Maharaj is very prominent. He is remembering Krishna. No matter how difficult newer and newer challenges came up, his father, who was ruling a heavenly kingdom, even Indra was his servant, practically, and that father was threatening Prahlad, and not only just threatening to beat him up, threatening to kill him. Not only just threatening, he was acting on his threat. He was actually trying to kill Prahlad, but nothing made Prahlad, nothing was, Prahlad's faith in Krishna was not shaken even once. He continued to remember Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is another example. No matter how difficult situations he went through, he continued his longing for the seva, continued to think how I can serve Krishna and my Guru Maharaj in this condition. No matter how bad his condition was, he would always think how I can serve in this condition. So he had difficulties. He had he had challenges, but he was never discouraged to serve Krishna. He was always enthusiastic to serve Krishna. He was limited by his resources. He didn't have many resources at the beginning. He practically had nothing. We heard uh, from one of the Saturday classes that Prabhupada wrote later to Sally Agarwal, who was their sponsorer, and he said, I'm not, because you can lend me some money, because and we are starting this movement, but at the beginning there is difficulty. I'm not having sufficient funds, because of which on many days I need to go sleep hungry. I'm not even having sufficient food to eat. Now a 70-year-old man struggling in New York, foreign land, came here for the first time, came to any foreign country for the first time, and battling severe cold, battling uh, completely contrasting weather, battling completely contrast people, people who are demoniac, people who are, who are smoking all kind of stuff, who are drinking, who are engaged in all kind of who are breaking all regulatory principles to the fullest. So those people living amongst them, Prabhupada was always eager to serve Krishna. He was always thinking how I will serve Krishna in this situation also. And that's what pleasing, that was pleasing for Krishna. Eventually Krishna supplied, sent all the devotees, and all the glories followed after that. So we should be hoping to be in Shuddha Sattva at some stage in our life. But for the now, for time being, we can try and transition from Tamo to Rajoguna and Rajo to Sattva Guna. What is the process? How we can overcome our gunas? Again, Krishna gives the key. Key is yamamcha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Again, Shrutva anya upasate was 13.26. 14.26, bhakti yogena sevate. Sevate implies direct action. Sevates means you have to act on your knowledge. Bhakti yoga, bhakti can be a matter of heart, it can be an emotion, but the emotion has to be followed by practical devotional service, sevate. Unless this is done, this emotion will evaporate in no time. You are feeling a lot of love and loving sentiment towards Krishna, and tomorrow you will feel the same loving sentiments towards some Bollywood actor and some cricket star, and then it will be gone. All bhakti yoga will disappear unless you act on your knowledge. This bhakti can be very short lived. Shrutva anya upasate, nine processes of devotional service, and this is starting with the process of hearing. This is interesting. We see the overcome modes of material nature. Prabhupada writes that Krishna says that you must act in devotional service. And modes of material nature makes a person unsteady in the performance of devotional service. So I am not able to perform my bhakti because I am under the influence of tamoguna, rajoguna. And unless I perform bhakti, I will not be able to overcome my tamoguna and rajoguna. How can I break this situation? How can I come out of this situation? Can somebody speak? We have to speak a lot. You all will have to speak a lot during today's session. We'll move very quickly. Couple of answers. So it says that modes of material nature, sattva guna, influence of sattva guna, rajoguna and tamoguna predominantly. Because of that influence, I am not able to perform bhakti. I feel sleepy in the morning. Simple example: I'm not able to get up in the morning because I'm the influence of tamoguna. I I have I have eaten meat right from my birth, right from I'm born in a meat eaters family. Not able to give up meat eating because my family don't want to give up meat eating. They drink alcohol also, they beat me up also, and they do all kind of nonsense activities. Now I live with them, I'm forced to live with them. Now I'm also doing what they are doing, so I'm in the under the influence of tamoguna. And so that's why I'm not able to perform bhakti. And on the other hand, I'm saying unless I perform bhakti, I will not be able to overcome my tamoguna. Where is the solution for me? One or two quick comments. You can raise hands or feel free to unmute and speak. How can I come out of this situation? Is it not a trap, a vicious circle? Yes, Nagendra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think we can come out of this situation by taking association with the devotees and always hearing about Krishna.
Okay, one solution. Very nice, Prabhuji. Any other comment? Any other thought? If you're typing, just let me know. I'll open chat also. So, Kanchan Mataji, yes.
Jai Shri Krishna Prabhuji. As per me, I think that performing our duties and just remembering God all the time, thinking that whatever is happening is done by Him and we are His living entities, living His properties, and whatever will happen, it is happening to us. And we have to remember to, as of now, we might not feel that we are doing it in the right way, but then when we continue doing it, over a period of time, we can overcome this.
Oh, so he is in continuing doing it. Okay, Sulega Mataji, last comment.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. By surrendering to the Lord, and seeking his help to overcome the problems. Every day praying him to
Okay.
help us.
Praying him, correct. So we see Prabhupada gives example of jaundice in this case. Now, when a person is affected by jaundice, the he even if he eats sugarcane, he finds it bitter when he's infected by jaundice. And the medicine for jaundice is sugarcane. So you have to keep, as Kanchan Mataji also mentioned, you have to keep doing action, keep eating sugarcane. Initially it will be bitter, but still eat it, still consume it. And once, but eventually, that the same sugarcane will act as a medicine and your jaundice will be cleaned. And the same sugarcane which you are now finding it bitter will start tasting sweet when your disease is completely removed. So this example is often given to explain that we may not feel like doing bhakti because we are too much under tamoguna. सोने का मन करता है, जपा लेते ही, जपा शुरू होते ही नींद आती है, लेक्चर शुरू होते ही नींद आती है. आई स्पीक विद मेनी पीपल, सो दे सेड बहुत नींद आती है प्रभु जी, कैसे करे. नाउ दैट्स तमो गुणा. बट उसका सॉल्यूशन क्या है? कीप लिसनिंग, कीप वॉक एंड लिसन. सो बेटर देन तमोगुणा. चलते हुए आदमी, वी आर नॉट सीन somebody falling asleep while walking. So it's difficult to fall asleep if you are walking. So walk and listen, but listen, because सुन के ही eventually your rectification will happen. Your cure is in hearing. So keep hearing. So that is how we can conclude that start performing bhakti or devotional service from the place you are and at the pace you can. So we can be in tamoguna or deep down in tamoguna. Doesn't matter. We don't have to wait for us to become Shuddha, Sattva Guna, come to Sattva Guna and then start performing bhakti. From whichever place you are and at whatever pace you can, because Tamoguna will not allow you to perform bhakti too much at fast speed as compared to a person who is in Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna person is naturally inclined to bhakti, can be naturally inclined, can naturally like bhakti, can naturally like contemplation, can naturally like japa, can naturally like meditation. So because of this guna influence, they find it very easy to do. But a tamoguni person will struggle to meditate. He will immediately fall asleep the moment meditation begins. So, but the pace you are and from the place you are, you have to begin. You have to start the process. Don't give up the process, because giving up the process, you have no hope otherwise. So from the place you are and at the pace you can, start the process, start performing bhakti. We and the 15th chapter we are discussing, and the acronym we'll use is home. Home or hotel will be discussed in the first 5 verses. On and on, over and over again, is the 6 to 11 section, verses 6 to 11. Then the maintainer of the body, mind, and soul, 12 to 15, and essence of 3 verses, 16, 17, 18. The Vedas, essence of Vedas is explained in these 3 verses, and 19 and 20 are the conclusion. We published this beginning of this, ahead of this, on Friday I sent this message that whether we should practice detachment in our life or not. Detachment is opposite to attachment. So if you are not trying to be detached in this life, we will be attached in our life. And our detachment and our attachment, which are the subject topics of this attachment and detachment, could be our personal possessions, our family members, and whatever our prestige in the society, our bank balance, our opulence, or our knowledge, our respect that we get when we go out in the society. It could be anything that we could become attached to. So should we be attached or should we be detached? That's the question. Raise hands. Come on, it's pre-published question. I thought you all will be ready with a lot of answers.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी,
Hare
हेलो
Krishna. Yes, Mother.
तो मतलब ये ऐसे मैंने सुना है, तो ऐसे मैं बता रही हूँ कि हम लोग डिटैच तो नहीं नहीं हो सकते. हम लोग जो हमारा स्पिरिचुअल एक्टिविटीज है वो कंटिन्यू करते रहेंगे और हमारा ड्यूटीज है वो करते रहेंगे, लेकिन जैसे ऐसे करना है कि हमारा ड्यूटी है ऐसे करना है. इमोशंस में नहीं, इमोशंस भी होना चाहिए पर उस लेवल तक नहीं, ऐसा ऐसा मैंने एक लेक्चर में सुना है, तो मैंने शेयर किया।
Okay. So you're suggesting that we should continue to do our duties, um, but without getting emotionally entangled. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. We should do it lovingly, but without getting emotionally entangled. Nagendra, Kanchan Mataji, Nagendra Prabhuji.
Hare
I
Krishna,
think that
Prabhuji.
see,
Prabhuji, in my opinion, like we can give a new direction for, because we can't detach everything from by ourselves. So we can give one new direction. Whatever we are doing, we can't like if we are doing only for the Krishna, then that is called as attachment. We even if we are enjoying any luxury life or anything, uh, so just do for the Krishna only, not like, so we can give the direction, and that comes as under attachment only, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we should be attached and no need to be detached. Is that a fair comment?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes, Kanchan Mataji and then Vikas Prabhuji.
I think whatever we are doing, if we surrender it to Krishna, that whatever we are doing, it is for His good, and we keep in our mind and with a complete faith that whatever we are doing, we are just surrendering, servicing to Him. That way, initially it might not be that easy to detach, but over a period of time, we might be connected with the world, but still, like a lotus, how it is in the mud, that it is surrendered with all that mud, but still ahead of untouched by the mud. So we, over a period of time, it will happen that we might be living in this world, seems to be attached, but internally we are detached from everybody except God.
Okay, yeah, very nice answer. Vikas Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. So, Prabhuji, as Bhagavad Gita teaches us that Vishya vinivartante nirarasya deinam rasavarjam raspapyasya param drastva nivartate. So, if as Srila Prabhupada often writes in his purport that even if we try to which diminish the desires of our senses, and attachment is the outcome of those desires, sensual desires only. That I, me, and mine. This creates the attachment. But ultimately, if we actually utilizes our senses into the service of Lord, then as His Holiness from Bhagwan Keshav Swami Maharaj explains that vairagya or detachment is special attachment towards Krishna. Then special attachment develops towards Krishna, and the attachment towards the I, me, and mine, it goes it's gradually. So it is always better to work on the attachment parts towards Krishna, and the attachment that is often explained with respect to the materialistic world, that will automatically go away, and for the care of that will automatically be taken care by Lord Krishna. So ultimately, we should try to live in attachment with the Krishna consciousness and not with our uh, materialistic life, because
Yeah.
that is anyway
Let's, yeah,
going
and
on.
yeah, Rupali Mataji, very quick. We have not even started with the first one, so keep it brief. Rupali Badhe.
हाँ, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Yes, madam.
हमको ना ना अटैच होना है ना डिटैच होना है। हमको जो भी टास्क करना है या डेली लाइफ या कुछ भी भक्ति के रिलेटेड, जस्ट कृष्णा को सेंटर में रख के करना है कि जो भी कर रहे हैं कृष्णा के लिए कर रहे हैं। तो इस तरह से हम लोग अटैच भी, मतलब अटैचमेंट के साथ डिटैच भी हो जाएंगे।
Okay, so detachment भी करनी चाहिए. So because our subject, as I said, our could be our family members. Can we be detached from them? Should we be attached to them? So this is the topic. Let's. I think we've heard a lot of comments, and let's move forward. Keep in mind whoever has spoken. Kanchan Mataji gave a very nice comment. Vikas Prabhuji contributed as well. Prior to him, Nagendra Prabhuji said something, and Sumedha Mataji also, spoke something very, very relevant, and concluded by Rupali Bade Mataji's comments. Keep that all in mind, and let's begin with the section home or hotel. This is a place. This verse will begin. This chapter will begin with a very by Krishna speaking a verse, and I was talking with many devotees, and they said that they have memorized this chapter. One reason is, this is only has 20 verses, and it's very sweet. It's very easy to chant these verses, easy to remember these verses. I remember in the seventh and eighth standard in our school, it was compulsory for us to chant 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day in the morning after the whatever Janagana Mana and all that. We used to chant this, and we chanted it for probably a couple of years without understanding even one word from this section, this whole chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And when I look back, I was it was good rather than chanting something else. Chanting verses from Bhagavad Gita was always good, and very thankful to our school and our teachers for enabling this. Giving us the opportunity to chant these verses, but we had no idea how powerful, how beautiful this whole section of Bhagavad Gita is. So urdhva mula madhu shakham, the roots going upwards and the branches going downwards. Now we see this in a reflection. Now, so Prabhat, Krishna is talking about reflection. Spiritual world is like a real mango tree on the bank of a river. Material world is like a reflection of that mango tree in the water. So this is where our material body is a bad copy of our spiritual body. We have a spiritual body in spiritual world, and we are now having a material body. It's a bad copy. Prabhupada calls it a bad bargain. How to make best use of bad bargain is what Bhagavad Gita teaches all about. Teaching of Bhagavad Gita is all about how to make best use of our bad bargain. We are getting this body itself is a bad bargain. Itself concludes that we have messed up in past. We have done something terribly wrong in past, because of which we came up in the material world. But through the process of evolution, by the mercy of devotee, by the mercy of Krishna, we've been given now a material body, a human form of body. Now, best how to best utilize this human form of body is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. It teaches us that to utilize our body in such a way that we don't have to accept another body in the after giving up this current body. That is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. We see that there is an original marble and there's a duplicate marble. There is an original currency note, and then we have a fake currency note. Original mango, and we have a plastic mango. So, original beauty, and we have fake beauty, perverted reflection of the spiritual world. In the material world, we are currently in the in the bottom. Dukhalaya mashashvatam. We say is that this is a place of misery. This is a place of quarrel. Kali Yuga is a place of quarrel. With every small incidents can lead to a big quarrel, and everyone is suffering. Everyone is suffering from old age, disease, and death. And after death, there is birth again. A repeated cycle of birth and death itself causing a lot of suffering. Apart from that, my mind causes me suffering. Mental health issues are global. Loneliness is an issue. Mental trouble, mental illness is common. Every alternate person is suffering from some mental health issue. So my own mind and body causes me trouble. People around me causes trouble. I have relationship issues are big time. Mosquitoes issues caused by mosquitoes are also big time. Dengue and malaria, and everything. These are the issues caused by the other living entities who am I surrounded with. So my own mind, my own body causes me trouble. People around me causes trouble, and then demigod causes me trouble. So if for nothing else, I'm constantly suffering, constantly under some pressure that which suffering will come next. I'm constantly worried. Even in the happiest moment of my life, I'm constantly thinking what will go wrong, and that way I'm continuously suffering. So this is dukkhalaya shashvatam, negative access. From here, gyanis, when they understand that their spirit soul, the soul, nainam chindanti shastrani nainam dahati pavakaha, न जायते मृत्यवा कदाचित. नायम भूत्वा भविता न भूयः अजो nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So when they learn about the eternal nature of the soul, that soul cannot be killed, soul has never taken birth and will not die. Even if the body is destroyed, the soul will continue. Now that can bring them to a Om Shanti 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 phase. This is zero. A impersonalist or a Buddhist or a Jnani can come to a stage where he may rise himself above the suffering platform and come to a platform where he neither rejoices nor he suffers. But this is not ultimate. This is not a happy state. This is zero access. From negative, we are coming to zero, but we are not still in the positive. We are not experiencing spiritual bliss. And that will eventually, the surge of this bliss will eventually force us either to go downwards or to go upwards. If he is association, if gets association of devotees, he can move upwards. The four Kumaras were in this stage. But and they got association from devotees, they went here, they went into the spiritual sky. Sukadev Goswami was also in this stage, and he got association from devotees and he went into this stage. Whereas if you there are examples of devotees who were in this stage, and because they got bored here, after a while when you have nothing to do, peace can be boring also. They came down to this stage and continue to suffer in here because they came searching for action, came searching for activity, came searching for happiness. We can't be in this zero state for too long. Take another question. Is peace better or love better? This is a surprise
Love,
question.
Prabhuji.
Love. How many for peace? Come on,
I think
take it to
both
the
are interconnected, Prabhuji.
both are interconnected. One other answer. Somebody is representing peace. Yeah, take to the chat box.
Rather,
Chat
rather
box.
it is, Prabhuji, that love is already embedded with peace. Means the love can only happen when is already peaceful, and it is the means the higher form of peace. Love is
Higher form of peace. Okay, Prabhuji is saying that love includes peace. You can't go to love without peace. That's another answer. But take to the chat box. Love, peace. One word. Answer. Both. Love, diplomacy. No diplomacy. You have to take a nota. This is like answering, giving a nota vote. Apurva, you have to choose one. Okay, let's take an example. A typical example: husband and wife fighting. uh, there's a quarrel, and then they both decide that instead of fighting, let's be peaceful, let's drive peace, and they write a peace formula that will not talk to each other. You live in that room, I will live in this room. Now there is a peace at home, but it's not very pleasing. It's not pleasing to both of them. Now wife go and cook in the morning and then write a chit: this is your food, eat it, take it, eat it as a breakfast, take it for lunch, and then dinner will be ready at whenever you come back. That's a cheat. Then husband goes to the market, buy grocery and whatever, he brings it and leaves it on the dining table, saying that this is the grocery for the month. Keep it, take it, and use it for cooking for next 1 month. And if you need anything else, leave a chit on the dining table. I will take care of it. And then write a chit and goes to his room. And wife goes to her room, and like that they continue for a few days. And they realize that this is not very helpful, this is not very good. After a while, for a moment, there is a peace, but there is no love. So both comes together, agrees to forgive and forget. There is always a give and take. uh, don't ask me who forgive and who forgot, but it happens in all the relationships. We forgive and forget and get back to our loving relationship. Now that may not always be peaceful. The typical home environment, anybody can remember, look back, it's not always peaceful, but it is loving. There is when there is a loving sentiment, we are able to take some anxiety for that love. When devotees take all kind of anxieties because they are in love with Krishna. Prabhupada accepted all kind of anxiety. He was not worried about peace of his mind. His mind would be in pieces. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, yesterday we heard example that he took all kind of anxieties for building Mumbai Juhu temple because he wanted to eagerly serve Krishna. Now he didn't have peace of mind. So yesterday we heard example from Narottam Prabhuji that he used to tell Prabhupada that Prabhupada, somebody is remembering Bhagavatam, somebody is chanting verses, somebody is learning deity worship, and I'm learning rates of cements and vegetable. I'm negotiating with vendors for cement and vegetable. How am I going to go back to Krishna in this way? And what will I do there? So he was taking anxiety for the pleasure of Krishna. So there was no peace of mind for him. But that anxiety took him back to Krishna eventually. So love, there can be love and may not be very peaceful love, but there will be love. And for that love, we see often devotees are ready to take all kind of anxieties. Mother can take all kind of anxieties for the love, for because she loves her child. She is ready to take all kind of anxiety. There is no peace of mind for a for mother. Child gets up in the middle of night, mother also gets up and do whatever is necessary. There is no question of peace of mind. There is no peace, but there is love, and that love becomes victorious. Beauty in the material world is only skin deep. Eventually, it will become like this. Urdhva moolam adhashakham ashwatham prahuram vyayam chandansi yasya parnani yastam veda savedavid. Krishna opens this chapter by this beautiful verse by saying that the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Prabhupada writes in the we I've given you a lot of purports, important sections from the purports. Will not go through all of them, but suffice. I'll circulate these slides and you can go through or read through these beautiful purports by Srila Prabhupada. So the entanglement in this world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one, for one who is engaged in creative activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. One who is engaged in fruitive activities. Fruitive activities is bhunte prakriti jagunan, one who has desire to enjoy in this material world. Prabhupada says there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, another, and to another. The tree of this material world has no end. And for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymn meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. Uh, and if one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. So, understanding the tree also implies you understand how to get out of this tree, how to get out of this entanglement, how to get out of this illusion. The tree is nothing but illusion, and the knower of the tree should also know how to end this illusion, how to get out. Prabhupada write further that in the previous chapters it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of material entanglement. Up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principles of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. So it is clear it is detachment from the material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. Now, this is a complete detachment. So it's detachment from material activities. What are the material activities? If mothers are taking care of their children and family members, as husband, even that is a material activity. So we have to do that with love and care. but we don't have to get entangled in that. We don't have to get attached to it. We have to get attached to Krishna. As a matter of our service, we should still do those activities with utmost love and care, with affection, but we don't have to get attached to those things. The difference in affection and attachment, we discussed that in previous sections, previous Sundays, that with the example of Dhritarashtra, who was not only affectionate to Duryodhana, he was attached to Duryodhana. Even if Duryodhana would do something wrong, he would still go and support it because he didn't want to hurt Duryodhana's feelings. Now that kind of affection actually has already become attachment, and attachment of the highest degree. So Duryodhana had to be killed, and still Dhritarashtra was not able to give up that attachment. After Duryodhana was killed, all his sons were died in the battle of Kurukshetra. Then also afterwards, when Vidura returned and Dhritarashtra was still living with Pandavas, and the Vidura returned to Hastinapur and spoke in extremely harsh words to Duryodhana, to Dhritarashtra. Then that time his eyes opened, and then he left the palace of Yudhishthir Maharaj and went to the forest, ignited fire within himself, and gave up his body. So the attachment was very difficult to give up. He was attached to being called as a king. Yudhishthir said, Dhritarashtra Maharaj, you are our elder. You are as good as king. So even though I am ruling, you are also as good as king. And he said everybody should give proper respect to Dhritarashtra. Even if he is staying with us, he is like our elder. He is our father figure. So he was getting a lot of respect in the Hastinapur. So he was living in the palace of Yudhishthir, whom he tried killing directly and indirectly many times, and accepting all respects from him. And in that condition, because his attachment was to that respect that he was getting from Pandavas and from everyone. The respect, the honor, the respect, even those become subject matter for attachment to the Dhritarashtra, even though he lost his primary attachment, his own sons. But this attachment kept him bound in that palace, and this attachment was broken when Vidura spoke in very harsh words with Dhritarashtra, and then he left his palace and went to the forest and gave up his body. So it is not easy to identify, are we affectionate or are we attached. So this is where the devotee's role come into play. A devotee who is a third person is an observer. He can tell, are you crossing the line from becoming affectionate to becoming attached. So if we are under the guidance of our few devotees, they will be able to tell. At our level, we may not be able to identify. I may think I'm affectionate, but I might have already become attached. And we need to become attached to Krishna, attached to the transcendental service of Krishna. And that attachment will naturally develop detachment to the material activities. So the process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed at the beginning of this chapter. Now, there is no ready experience. Prabhupada describes what is the tree. The tree, this reflection of the spiritual world, is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in the reflected material light. So we saw bhunte prakriti jaguna. There is a desire to enjoy. That is a root cause of all our problem. Reflection, what we want, what we get in the material world, we want eternal happiness. All of you can agree, we all want to be happy all the time, but what we experience is flickering happiness. We most of the time we experience we are unhappy, but we get some moments of happiness, but we want continuous eternal imperishable happiness. Now that is not nowhere to find in the material world. We want peace of mind, but we have our mind in pieces. We want love, we get hate. We want everything to be permanent. My parents, my loved ones, my home, my bank balance, I want everything to be permanent. But we see everything is temporary. Here today, gone tomorrow. We want order in our life. We try to create order. I have tried to create an order in my home. I have internet, I have backup data facility in my mobile phone. Even if internet breaks, I will switch to mobile, but mobile can also break. And so all we are trying to do in our life is to create order. We want to live life. I have 1 month of grocery stored in my home. My bank balance can take care of me for next 6 months, even if I were to lose my job tomorrow. So there is order in our life. All of us try to create some order in our life, but often we witness, in despite of all our efforts to create order, we experience chaos. Suddenly some things go wrong. Everything, we've not planned for things, suddenly they happen, and we are in the chaos, we are in the firefighting mode. We want trust, we get betrayal. We want health, we get disease. We want prosperity, we get poverty. We want to be youthful always, but we get old age. We want eternal life, we get death. Ultimately, it can be summarized in this: we want to be eternal, we are temporary. We want to be in knowledge, but we are always in agyan, or lack of spiritual knowledge. We want to be in bliss, but we are always suffering, or we are lamenting. The reflection is where we are currently looking at, and we are trying to enjoy here. The reflection implies that the original object also exists somewhere. If we As long as we are looking at the reflection, we will have no knowledge of the spiritual original object. But we have to turn our eyes from the reflection, then we will be able to see the original object. So reflection implies there is an original object. The reflection of this mountain implies that there is an object, original mountain somewhere. I need to remove my eyes, take my eyes away from the reflection, so that I can search for original mountain and I can see original mountain. Similarly, we have to turn our eyes away from the reflection from this material world, so that we can see the spiritual reality, we can see the spiritual world, and then we can develop a desire to go there and enjoy perpetually with Krishna. अधश्च ऊर्ध्व प्रसुततस्य शाखा गुण प्रवृद्धा विषय प्रवालः अधश्च मूलान अनुसंततानि कर्मानुबंधिनि मनुष्य लोके. कर्म बंध हम सुनते हैं हमेशा. It's very directly mentioned in here that कर्मानुबंधिनि मनुष्य लोके. Why मनुष्य लोके? Because animal world में there is no karma. A dog, a tiger kills, there is no karma accruing to the tiger. But manushya killing, manushya has a choice to kill or not to kill. So Manushya gets a karmic reaction. So karma anubandhini, and that karma is binding in the Manushya Loke. So the additional information about this tree is given. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. We already discussed Sattva, Raja, Tomo. These gunas are Sattva guna, Raja guna, and Tamo guna. So they are, this tree is nourished by these these gunas. The twigs are the object of the senses. This tree also has its roots going down, and these are bound to the creative actions of the human society. Sometimes we find that a tract of land is barren and want for the want of sufficient water, and sometimes the tract is very green. Similarly, where particular modes of material nature are proportionately greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. We heard in the 14th chapter, previous Sunday, we discussed that if you give up body in a particular mode, you can either go upward or downward. And that is the secret, that is the secret knowledge that we all should know, that we should, what mode in which we should give up our body. Krishna says, give up your body remembering me. And remembrance of Krishna is Shuddha Sattva, that is ideal. But if we don't do that, if we can't do that, then these are the outcomes that we can expect. If you give up your body in tamoguna, you can go down to the animal species, and so on and so forth. न रूपमस्य तथोपलभ्यते न अंतो न च आदिर न च संप्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढ़ मूल असंग शस्त्रेण दृढ़ेन चित्वा. So we didn't completed our discussion, but we heard a lot of good comments from all the devotees about asanga shastrena, weapon of detachment. What a beautiful concept Krishna is speaking. Now, if you'll notice, Krishna is speaking this from a point of view of a ज्ञानी. So this knowledge is very बहुत उपमा है इसमें अलंकार है. Very beautiful verses Krishna has spoken in this section. Now they may not be very simple to follow. A lot of examples are used in these discussions. So that is what makes this section very beautiful. But at the same time, these are like little complex to understand because we are talking about something, but it is only symbolic. The meaning, the implied meaning is something else. Asanga shastrena dhrunena chitva. ततः पदम तत्परिमार्गतव्यम यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयाः तमेव चाद्यम पुरुषम प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रस्तुता पुराणी. Third and fourth verses we are studying together. न रूपमस्यः ततोपलभ्यते. Let's see the translation. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with the determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Then what do we do? Weapon of detachment से हम लोग ने ट्री के रूट्स तो कट कर दिए, branches कट कर दिए, तो where do we have to go? Even if we come to the zero stage, you remember negative to zero आ गए हम लोग, and zero to positive जाना है. That description is provided in the second paragraph. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone one, never returns. Now that is Brahmajyoti. Now that place, once you reach Brahmajyoti, you can either go further to the spiritual world or come backwards to the back into the material world. And what you will do will depend on what is your association. If you get devotee association, you can go to the spiritual world from there. But and so here Krishna says that from there, yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyat tvameva chadyam purusham prapadye. You have to search for a purusha, search for that personality, that उत्तम पुरुष त्वमेव चाद्यम पुरुषम प्रपद्ये. एंड सर्च करके करना क्या है? प्रपद्ये. You have to surrender to that purusha. Which kind of purusha? यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसूता पुराणी. पूरी सृष्टि का उनसे प्रसूति हुई है. प्रसूति is a beautiful word. Again, it means the whole 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 everything has been extended since time immemorial from him, from that personality, that supreme personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun, everything has been created by him. uh, so going to from that negative to zero state, one has to search for that uttama purusha and surrender to him, and then go into the higher, the positive access. That is the recommendation. Now it is clearly stated that the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Therefore, we don't have to waste time in figuring out. We simply have to get out of this material world. Don't figure out, just get out. Get out of this material world. Don't try to figure out कि मैं ये करूंगा तो खुशी रहूंगा, ये करूंगा तो ये करने से मेरा वेट रिड्यूस होता है, ये करने से मैं सुखी हो जाऊंगा, ये करने से मुझे बहुत सारे पैसे मिलेंगे, ये करने से मेरी शादी हो जाएगी, ये करने से मुझे बच्चे हो जाएंगे. ये सब फिगर आउट करते. डोंट वेस्ट योर टाइम in figuring out things. Don't waste your too much time in figuring out things. Just simply get out of this material world. Think how you can get out of this material world. That is, Krishna is very clearly talking here right now. When entangled with the material expansions of the tree, one cannot see how far the tree expands, nor can one see the beginning of this tree. Yet one has to find out the cause. I am the son of my father. My father is son of such and such a person, etc. By searching in this way, one comes to Brahma, who is generated by the Godhead, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Finally, in this way, one reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the end of our research work. So, one has to search out that origin of this tree. One will reach to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But through the association of person, we can directly get this knowledge. That is what he is saying. Then by understanding, one becomes gradually detached from the false reflection of reality. And by knowledge, one can cut off the connection and actually become situated in the real tree. The word asanga is very important in this connection, because the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording it over material nature is very strong. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussion of spiritual science based on authoritative scriptures, and one must hear from persons who are actually in knowledge. As a result of such discussion in the association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the first thing one must do is surrender to him. The description of the place where once gone one never returns in this false reflected tree is given here. The supreme personality of Godhead Krishna is the original root from whom everything has emanated. To gain a favor of that personality of Godhead, one must only surrender, and this is the result of performing devotional service by hearing, chanting, etc. He is the cause of the extension of the material world. This has already been explained by Lord Himself. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the origin of everything. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of this strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extension. What are the qualities that one should cultivate? Nirmana moha, jitasanga dosha, adhyatma nitya, vinivruta kamaha, dvandvair vimuktaha, sukha dukha sangye, yacha gachantya moodaha padamam vyayantat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with the material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain this eternal kingdom. This is the qualification uh, of going to the eternal kingdom. Now, that kingdom, eternal kingdom, that is now described, that is the spiritual world. The description of spiritual world will come now. That begins by this verse: natad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Now you already explained the attachment. The using the weapon of detachment, one should cultivate desire to go to the spiritual world, and the qualities are also described. Nirmana moham. One should be very humble, without expecting amanina manadena. Should not expect any respect, but we should be ready to give all respect. And so that kind of a person, beginning with that, one can cultivate, perform devotional service, and become qualified to go to the spiritual world. Now, how does that spiritual world looks like? Now, this is the description of the spiritual world, the Krishna's Param Dham abode. न तद् भासयते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः यद गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते, having gone once, न निवर्तन्ते, you do not come back, तद् धाम परमम मम. Dhama means, like we have Vrindavan Dham, the abode or the home. Paramam mama, mama is mine. That world is mine, that abode is mine. You will go once, you will not want to come back to this miserable place. And that place, what are the specialty? That is self illuminated, does not require a sun to illuminate. Now, in our knowledge, there is nothing self-illuminated. Our bodies are not self-illuminating. We need a sun to give light and heat to the entire universe. So we need sun. Otherwise, without sun, we can imagine this will be the dark material world, filled with not only with tamoguna, but actual darkness will also be there. So this is the this is the description of the spiritual world. One should be captivated. Prabhupada writes in the beautiful purport that one should be captivated by this information. He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to the Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. one has to associate himself with devotees. Somebody mentioned this beautiful point earlier as well. One has to associate himself with devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness. One should search out for a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotional service. In this way, he can cut off his attachment to the material world. One cannot become detached from attraction of this material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. He must become attached to the devotional service to the Lord of the Lord. So somebody mentioned about internal attachment to God, internal attachment to Krishna, and externally one may be doing duties, but one has to be detached. One has to practice detachment while doing duties, and internally one has to be attached to Krishna. Prabhupada writes further that therefore one should take it very seriously that devotional service as described in the 12th chapter is is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. The word paramam mama are very important here. Actually, every nook and corner is the property of Supreme Lord, but the spiritual world is paramam, full of six opulences. ममे वंशो जीवलोके जीवभूताः सनातनाः मनः षष्ठानि इंद्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति. Again, very frequently quoted verse that the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmented parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which includes the mind. Shariram vedavapnoti yachampya ukramat उत्क्रमातीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयन्ति वायुर्गन्धा निवाशयात्. The living entity, this is a process of transmigration from one body to another. The soul is transferred from one body to another. How it happens, we have discussed this briefly in previous chapters, but Krishna gives additional information about the same. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. What a beautiful example. Now, air carries aroma. Air passing through a flower doesn't disturb a flower, but it still can carry its aroma with it. So, if there is a beautiful, fragrant wind blowing, we know there is a garden nearby. Similarly, a soul is transferred from picked up from one body and transferred to another body. Just like aroma is picked up from a flower without disturbing. So a soul is picked up without disturbing the body. Aroma is picked up without disturbing the flower. So beautiful example. Vayur Gandha Nivashayat. So thus he takes one kind of body and again quits to take another body. Here, the living entity is described as Ishvara or the controller of his body, as if he liked to change one body higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends on him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or a dog, he is sure to change to a cat or a dog's body. Yesterday we were watching a dog in a Mercedes Benz. How can a dog sit in a Mercedes Benz while majority of the dogs are sitting on the garbage pile on the road? So if you live your body with a consciousness that of a dog and a cat, you are surely going to get a cat and a dog's body. And because of your probably lived in a bungalow and drove in a Mercedes Benz in your previous life, you are probably carrying on with that habit. Uh, and that's why in the dog's body also you are sitting in a Mercedes Benz. Prabhupada writes further that, and if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after annihilation of this body, everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background for his next body. So your present body and present activities are going will create eventually your next body and next activities, and this is called the process of transmigration. One gets a different body according to karma, and if he has quit his body is due in due and he has to quit his body in due course. It is stated that the subtle body which carries the conception of the next body develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigration from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or struggling for existence. Disparity in this world. Let's see, what are the disparity. We have rich people and we have poor people, strong people, weak people. Everything visible prominently, everything can be seen everywhere. This is the result of our every our in our present body and present activities are actually creating our next body and next activities. And we are bound, we are forced into another body and given a type of body based on our desires, based on our karmic reactions which are about to be fructified. And accordingly we get a body, either lower or higher or equal, and continue with our activities, continue with our karmic activities. Another additional information, how you pick up your indriyas. Shotram chakshus parshanam cha rasanam ghanam evacha adhisthaya manaschaya vishayan upasevate. The living entity thus taking another gross body obtain a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose and sense of touch which are grouped about the mind and does enjoy a particular sense object. This is mind and these are the five senses, so they are grouped about the mind and they are picked up based on our activity. Just like this person gets input from different cameras, fitted in different places. Similarly our mind get input from all the five senses. The eyes will tell, eyes want to see the beautiful form, ear wants to hear beautiful music, nose want to smell something nice, a body wants to touch and feel something soft and soothing, and so on and so forth. So that is how our mind is being fed by all the senses. We can skip the purports just to be able to keep in pace with the time. उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानां वा गुणान्वितां विमूढा न अनुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः. So why this is not visible to everyone? If it is so prominent, if it is happening every now and then all around us, bodies are living soul and new bodies are born, and so it's happening all around us. So why it's not visible to everyone? So Krishna says the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all. What do you mean by pakshanti dhyana chakshushaha? So on the left hand side, you see a lot of lines are drawn. The lines are, it's this line starts from here, come down here, again it will go up little bit, look come down. So one may feel ki what kind of a drawing it is. What kind of, if you want to draw straight line, we draw curvy line, we draw horizontal line, vertical line, but this is like a random line. If we say, and there are many such random lines. One is this will be purple color, this is blue color, this is yellow color, this is white color, and each line follow a particular trajectory, particular path, sometime going upward, downward, upward, downward, upward, downward, upward, downward, then big upward, then little downward, then again upward, little downward. So one may, if you show it to somebody who doesn't understand this, one may say that the drawing has gone horribly wrong. He will not understand this. But if one who has knowledge will see that this could be a graph of a company's performance of profitability or stock market price, which has moved very in a volatile way. So, and this is the ups and downs represents the up and down performance by the company. So, if you have eyes of knowledge, you can derive meaning out of what you see. Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. When you see this on the right hand side, you see an X-ray. Um, it could be good or it could be problematic X-ray, but one who has eyes of knowledge, one who has expert knowledge, he can see things through. For somebody else, this can be a stupid image, doesn't even look good. So it may not make much sense, but to an expert doctor, he can draw conclusions out by seeing this image. 11th verse, yatanto yoginashchaiva pashyanti tatmanya avasthitam yatanto aprकृतात्मानो nainam pashyanta chetasaha. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Now the whole situation is that we're talking about transmigration. Transmigration is basically of soul. Who transmigrate? The soul transmigrate. Soul picks up mind, intelligence, and ego from one body and goes in, situate in another body, lives there, lives in the womb for 9 months, come out and start with the activity. So this transmigration of soul is a concept that is unique in Bhagavad Gita. It's not spoken in any other scripture, in any other religion. It's so with so much clarity and so much authority. Bhagavad Gita speaks about this, and transmigration also it speaks about very clearly, very with a lot of clarity, with a lot of authority. Krishna speaks about this because this is reality. But understanding, let's it's a question for everyone. Why it is important for us to know the concept of soul and the transmigration from one body to another body? Contrastly, another way of asking the same question is what are the benefits of knowing this concept? What can happen when we know this, and what are the disadvantages of not knowing this subject? When we don't know it, maybe when we don't have this knowledge, what would happen to us? Why it is so important to know about the subject of soul and the conception of the concept of soul and concept of transmigration from one body to another? Yeah, I'm searching for answers. Somebody else can speak. Vikas Prabhuji can speak later. Divya Mukherjee, you're there online?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes. Can you attempt?
This is Millie.
Yes, Mele Mataji. Yes.
Prabhuji, what I think is this will um, help us to deal with the passing of our uh, loved ones. Like if we know that soul is transferring from one body to another, so we know that our loved ones will be somewhere near us. I mean, in this universe only, and they will get better life. Like if अगर हमको बोला जाता है कि आप उसको उनके जाने पर आप रुदन मत करो, आप उनके जाने का प्रे करो कि उनको उन्होंने जो भी अपने पास्ट लाइफ में किया है वो बहुत अच्छा किया है और आगे उनको बहुत अच्छा मिलेगा. So basically, this will help us to deal with the situation of death.
Very nice. Yeah. Kanchan Mataji, then Vikas Prabhuji.
Uh, Prabhuji, when we know about the soul, that we are what our soul is and we are not what our body is, it becomes easier for us to remain focused on our supreme goal of attaining the supreme level of Godhead, meeting Him, and it is a knowledge that we believe. We come to know that we are immortal. We are not dying. The only the body is getting changed. So it detaches us from all the emotions which are there in this material world.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. Vikas Prabhuji, very brief, and then Sachi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So as you mentioned a beautiful verse that Karan Gun Sangvas Satasat Yoni Jansu. So we get to know that the ultimate problem is taking birth in higher and lower species. and that is essentially transmigration from one body to another body. And when we know the concept of soul and how soul travels and how we can stop the cycle of birth and death of soul, then ultimately we engages in those work only which are beneficial for us. That is soul. That it goes back to Godhead and never remain in this materialistic miserable world. Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Okay.
Dandavat pranam.
Sachi?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, like, the knowledge of soul is important for us because we won't lament and hanker for material things. Like, we'll be knowing that we are souls and our aim of life is something else. So, if something bad happens to us, we'll be knowing that, yeah, it's because of our karma and we are not this body. So, we shouldn't get affected by all of these things. And knowledge of transmigration is also important because we'll be knowing that whatever we are thinking, whatever we are doing, it is impacting us in a very subtle way. Like our mind is going through all these things, and if we won't be conscious of the activities and the thoughts we have in our mind, then we can die in such a consciousness that we can go to lower species of life. So that is why both of the knowledge of both of the things are very important.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sureka Mataji, last comment.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। जी मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि जब हमें नॉलेज होगा सोल का और ट्रांसमाइग्रेशन ऑफ बॉडी का, तो हमारा जो डर है मरने का, वो थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा कि यस वी आर मीन्स ये सब बॉडी छोड़ रहे हैं पर हम तो लाइव रहेंगे, दूसरी हमें बॉडी मिलेंगी जिससे हम और स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ कर सकेंगे। और इस कॉन्शियस से रहेंगे तो जो हम बॉडीली एंटेंगलमेंट है इस जन्म में, वो भी डिटैच थोड़ा हो जाएंगे। थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna. So, in short, I can summarize probably that this knowledge will help us live our life properly, knowing that whatever we are, having will probably be lost at some day, and whoever we are surrounded with, even they will be lost. So whatever we have, that will be lost. Whoever we have around us, those also will be lost. So while living life also, this knowledge will bring us that temporary reminder that everything is not permanent here. Things are temporary only. So our investment, but emotional investment in those will also uh, be limited. We will eventually be, we'll be able to do our duties in a way, in an affectionate way, but in a detached way as well. So, and also, all of you mentioned that you will be able to better deal with the loss of person, knowing that. It's only a loss of body. The soul will get another body on maybe a healthier body, so where the soul will get another opportunity to perform devotional service in the next life as well. So both ways, it's beneficial for the soul. So that way, we will be able to deal with the eventualities of giving up body also in a much better way. When we know that soul is about to give up his body, we will be able to make necessary arrangements for cultivating remembrance of Krishna, for giving that soul a remembrance of Krishna, a chance to remember Krishna before he quits body. So if we are aware of this knowledge that there is a soul who is likely to quit the body, then we can make arrangement to remind that soul to remember Krishna, so that in this lifetime itself that soul can go back to Krishna. So we can do various other things. We discussed that while discussing chapter 8, how we can cultivate environment, create environment so that the soul who is about to depart will get remembrance of Krishna, can get remembrance of Krishna. Ultimately, it depends on his sadhana, his his faith in Krishna, and Krishna's mercy on him. So, but let's quickly, briefly look at what we have on this. That when one does not know, have no knowledge of soul, the only knowledge they will have is that of body, and they will only act for at a bodily level. They will act simply like animals. Animals have no knowledge about the soul. So everything that they do is for the purpose of enjoying their body. All their actions are directed only towards sense gratification. So so one should not be ruled by the bodily drives and desires, but they should rule those desires and bodily drives. And you can do that, you can perform austerities and penances only when you have knowledge that you are not the body, you are spirit soul. And as a soul, you have different destinations. So with knowledge about soul and movement from one body to another, one will be forced to inquire what govern this movement. One will then learn about the law of karma and will have some desire to regulate activities. Somebody mentioned in the chat box about law of karma. I think Deepak Prabhuji probably mentioned. So that's true, because one is then forced to ask a question that if I will be pulled out of this body and pushed into another body, is it randomly happening or there is a principle governing this activity? If there is a law, how it is decided which next body I'm going to get? So what is that law? Who is in control? So these are the inquiries that one can get when we understand this concept of soul and the concept of transmigration. The more intelligent will see problem in taking birth with better or temporary facilities for eating, mating, sleeping, defending, as this also will be temporary of in nature and will be given up at the time of giving up one's body. So no matter how great facilities we get in our next life, even if our next life we are promised to be a son or daughter of a billionaire, even if that promise is there, we should still be not willing to take that promise, take that birth, because you will have more facilities for enjoyment but less facilities for remembering Krishna, and therefore you will get entangled in the material world. Krishna doesn't want you to be locked up in the jail. No matter, even if we install AC in our jail, and we bring nice soft bed for sleeping and create best of facilities inside jail, but nevertheless we are still inside our jail. And as long as we are in jail, there is no eternal happiness. We will only get sufferings, we will only get miseries. So one should intelligent person should think about how I can get out of this jail. So one must inquire about how soul can get out of this cycle of repeated birth and death for eternal living and eternal bliss. This inquiry is the beginning of the spiritual quest, and the knowledge of soul only trigger this kind of an inquiry. Prahlad Maharaj says that, "O best of great personalities, while I am not at all afraid of material existence, for whatever I stay fully absorbed, wherever I stay, I remain fully absorbed in the thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them." Prahlad Maharaj is saying when when Narasimha Dev asked him for some benediction, he says, "I'm not worried about myself. I want your mercy so that I can always remember I can always I can always remember you in all circumstances. But I'm worried about the fools and rascals in this material world who are making elaborate plans for material happiness, maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I'm simply concerned about them because I love them and I don't want them to suffer. So, out of love and affection for us, for humanity at large, Prahlad Maharaj is expressing this concern to Narasimha Dev. So, so that is what will happen if you don't know the concept of soul. If you function at a bodily level, this is what will happen. So, moving further, but if one does not arise and wish to remain at a bodily platform, should understand how Krishna is helping in different way. Now, okay, I understand that I'm not this body. Um, I'm not this body. I'm spirit soul, and I want to see everything with this eyes of this knowledge, and I want to perform devotional service. I want to go back to Krishna. Now, if I don't have that kind of a consciousness, I'm somehow not convinced of this fact. What is the hope for me? What can happen to me? So, even if you don't know this, you don't accept this as truth, and even if you are struggling to understand this philosophy, and if you want to remain at a bodily platform, you want to think, I am this body, I am Maharashtrian, I am Gujarati, I am South Indian, I am Indian, I'm a CA, I'm a engineer, I want to help other humanity, I want to help I want to do this, I want to enjoy body, and so on and so forth. Even if all my thoughts are directed at enjoying at a bodily level, how can I still understand Krishna's glories? This is explained in the verses 12, 13, and 14. So the 12 explains how Krishna, basically in these three verses, Krishna is explaining that even if you want to enjoy at your bodily level, thinking that you don't know, have no knowledge of soul, you don't have capacity to understand that somehow, even if and we meet many people who don't understand, they said this life is only life and we have to enjoy whatever we can, and die, everybody is dying, you also will die, and there is no next birth. So a lot of people live life with this philosophy: live to eat, live to drive, live to have sex, live to earn money, live to become rich, live to do foreign vacations, live to be on vacations perpetually, live to enjoy, live to party, live to drink, live to eat, whatever. People have different motives of life, and they themselves have manufactured philosophies using which they try to live their own life. So for living life in that situation also, Krishna says, you need my help, you need my help. Without my help, you cannot even enjoy at the level of body. And that is explained in this three verse. 12 explains how Krishna help at a universal level. The 13th verse explains how Krishna helped at our planet, planet Earth, how Krishna helps us. And the 14 explains how he helped us at a bodily level. And the 15th help says that how he helped one who is desirous of making spiritual inquiries and practicing devotional service. 15th is the most important verse. Krishna says at a universal level, first 12 is at a universal level. At a universal level, Krishna says, Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo, Jagat Bhasyate Khilam, Yat Chandramasi Yat Chagno, Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam. At the universal level, the splendor of sun which dissipates the darkness of this world comes from me. So at a bodily level, even if one does not understand that their body, their spirit soul, one assumes oneself to be the body, a Gujarati body, a South Indian body, a male body, female body, Hindu body, Muslim body, whatever. Even if you function at a bodily level, um, then still that there is a problem, because this world, if the sun doesn't rise, the bodily enjoyments will be limited. Problem, there will be huge problem. If the sun refuses to rise, the refuses to give light and heat, which are the main functions for which sun comes. So Krishna says that light and heat which comes from the sun actually comes from me. The splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire also comes from me. Again, fire, the properties of fire are light and heat. Properties of sun is also light and heat. So all of these come from me, and every universe need these three things to function. Kama Vishya Bhutani Dharayam Ahmojasa Pushnami Chaushadhi Sarvaha Somo Bhutva Rasatmakaha. At a planet level, we see in solar system. All of us have studied solar system, and then we see that we are surrounded by so many planets. Each planet is its object is rotating around itself in its orbit. So there is an orbit in which there is a rotation of every planet. Every planet rotates around itself, and it also rotates in larger circles, and there is no collision. This traffic, somebody is controlling in such an expert way that there is no collisions that are occurring. So and one doesn't know who keeps this planet floating, how earth is floating, how earth is matter, and it follows some law. We can calculate the time of rotation that earth will take, the time that earth will take to rotate to come into a perfect particular position. How many days it will take, how many in terms of hours, how many hours it will take, and we can come up with a great mathematical calculation, and we will see earth and sun will actually follow that calculation as well. So is there somebody who is really controlling these planets? Even if we send one satellite in the air, in space, we have a team of scientists trying to control that satellite. And often we say that that satellite goes out of control and just vanishes from the orbit. So Krishna explains here that I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. अहम वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राण अपान समायुक्तः पचाम्य अन्न चतुर्विधम. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kind of foodstuff. Muktaya Bhurikarunaya Namo Lalaya. The important line in this verse is Muktaya Bhurikarunaya Namo Lalaya. So the purport of these three verses is how Krishna is trying continuously to help us. Krishna help those who want to help those who are devotees, who become his devotees, who say that Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Krishna says such souls are magnanimous, Mahatmas, and I will do anything for them. Anything who become my pure devotee, I will do anything for them. But Krishna says in these three verses that those who don't want to become my pure devotees, still I will supply them everything that they need, that they deserve to enjoy in this material world. Whatever extent they can, I will make provision so that they can try and enjoy in this material world. And for that, I will try. Namo Muktaya Bhurikarunaya Namo Lalaya. I will try endlessly. Without getting tired, I will keep trying. So this is how Krishna help us even in the sense gratification. Imagine the Pachamya Anna Chaturvidham. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashrita. The fire of digestion is the deity of fire of digestion is called Vaishvanara, who is inside our belly. And unless there is a fire of digestion, whatever we eat cannot get digested. Pachamya Anna Chaturvidam. So we may have money, we may have desire, we may have taste to eat, but if you don't have digestion capacity, uh, whatever we eat, we cannot get digested. We will simply cause us, instead of giving us energy, it will give us sickness. And so that's how it's important that we pray to Krishna we depend on Krishna even for digestion of what we have eaten. We may eat to live, we may live to eat. The eating is goal of our life, could be the goal of our life, but digestion happens only when it is sanctioned by Krishna. And Krishna actually help us digest the foodstuff that we are eating. So much is our dependence on Krishna. The purport is so much is our dependence on Krishna that even we can't digest food without Krishna's mercy. Our planets, we can't control the movement of this planet, and without Krishna's being there, we don't know what will happen to our planets and the whole solar system. Could there be a collision and everything can get destroyed? Yes, very much. There are so many planets which are far greater in size than Earth, and if we happen to collide with any one of those, we can be destroyed any day, any moment. And at a universal level, Krishna is providing heat and light through sun and fire and light in the Chandra. So, Krishna, even if we are reluctant to become his devotee, Krishna is still providing us with everything that we need for our sense gratification. So Krishna is tirelessly working for us. And knowing this, we should become surrender to Krishna. Knowing this, we should become surrender to Krishna. Sarvasya chaham hridisandhi vishto. Sarvasya cha aham hridisandhi vishto. Matah smrtir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedeshcha sarvairaham vedyo vedanta krut veda videva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya cha aham hridisandhi vishto. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Krishna is saying here, 15.15, that by all the Vedas, I am to be known, instead of saying I am known. Why is Krishna not automatically be known by study of Vedas? What is it the Vedas contain, um, which is not able to, whereby by studying that, we don't come to the same conclusion that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and uh, we need to become his devotee. One answer, we are hard pressed for time, but one quick answer if anybody want to attempt. Unmute and speak if you wish to see. I'll pose the question once again. Okay, let's go to the purport. We'll come back to the question later. Uh, so this is where Krishna has spoken about his role as a Paramatma. 13.23, Krishna said, Rupadrashta Anumanta cha, Bharta Bhakta Maheshwara. And that person is called Paramatma. And here he's saying, I am that Paramatma who is inside your heart, doing Upadrashta, overseeing and permitting activities, desires of the soul. He says, I am that. Aham. Ruddhi Sannivishto. And from me comes the Smriti, remembrance, Dhyan, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And Vedesh Sarve Ahmeva Vidya, Vedanta Krut Veda Videvachaham. 18.61 again, Krishna makes similar reference. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Ruddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. I am situated in the region of heart. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. So the three references where Krishna is saying that I am seated in your heart and I am directing all your activities. So Guru Sadhu Shastra, forgetfulness, remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. if we uh, if we basically, I got my knowledge from Guru Sadhu Shastra, Bhagavad Gita I've studied, and then there could be two possibilities that can happen. I may develop a desire to love and serve Krishna. In that case, Krishna will help me by providing remembrance and instruction, remembrance of instructions by Guru Sadhu Shastra. And Krishna will give me forgetfulness of sense pleasure. So this is what how Krishna will provide these three. How give the knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. If I, when you are all hearing, you develop a desire to love and serve Krishna. With this desire, Krishna will help you further by providing remembrance of instructions given in Bhagavad Gita, given by our Guru, and it will give us forgetfulness of the how the sense pleasure, because the sense pleasures are also there in the material world, and you need to be able to remember Krishna, you need to forget sense pleasure, and vice versa is also true. In order to enjoy sense pleasure, you need to forget Krishna. So if on another hand, if you don't develop this desire for whatever reason, then Krishna will help you giving forgetfulness about himself, about the instructions given in Bhagavad Gita, so that you can continue your enjoyment on the sense level, at the sensory level. The eighth step, the 62 and 63, dhyayato vishan punsa sangaste shupajayate. Ultimately, desires are ultimately responsible. Krishna says, whatever you desire, Prakriti, Krishna will sanction according to the karma, and then Prakriti will arrange. So Krishna will simply respond by acting according to our desire. We should not entertain or allow entry and allow to be retained wrong desires. We shouldn't entertain wrong desires. If we allow wrong desires to get a foothold, later it will take a strong hold and it can practically kidnap our power of discrimination and drag the soul along the wrong path by going from contemplation of the sense object to the complete delusion, complete downfall. So Sadhu Sangha will help us, give us remembrance about instructions given by Krishna. And that's why sadhu sangha is considered most important in the bhakti. So all of us should have devotee association, devotees in our life who can tell us if we are doing wrong. They should be able to bluntly tell us we are doing wrong, and that way, we can get corrected. uh, 16, the two purushas, again another beautiful section where 16, 17 and 18, in the three verses Krishna is going to summarize the knowledge given by the Vedas. So there are two kind of living entities, Kshara and Akshara. Then one is there is a super soul who is beyond Kshara and Akshara. So Kshara uh, and Akshara, we will take a look at those, what it means. And super soul is beyond the Kshara and Akshara. And Lord Krishna says that super soul is me. I am that super soul. So 16th verse says that there are two classes of being, the Kshara and Akshara are infallible. The material world, everyone is fallible. And in the spiritual world, everyone is infallible, Akshara. And there is imperishable Lord Himself who has entered the three worlds and maintaining them. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Purushottamam. So, this is the summary of Vedas and Vedanta. That Vedas talks about material world and material activities in the material world, and that is large portion of Veda is dedicated on obtaining superior sense gratification in the material world. Why? Because that is why living entities have opted to come to the material world in the first place. So if you are going to a library, if you are going to a library, and you will see the bookstore. Basically, if you visit a bookstore, you will see books displayed uh, very prominently are the ones which are most popular. The books which are most popular are displayed in a very prominent way. The book will also have a Bhagavad Gita, but if Bhagavad Gita is not very popular in this part of the world, then it might be there, but it might be there in some of those displays which are not so easily visible. Or it could be in the cupboard where, if you make a specific inquiry, they may go to that cupboard and remove a copy of Bhagavad Gita and give it to you. Why? Because it is not so much in demand. So what is prominently available in a bookstore is what people are asking for. Most people come asking for, out of 100, 95 people come asking for a particular type of book. Those type of books will be displayed very prominently. And other books can be there, but they can be in the background or they can be in the cupboards. They can be supplied if at all somebody asks, inquire for it. So that is how we understand that Vedas, the primary purpose of Vedas is to provide sense gratification in a spiritual religious way. So the Vedas largely talks about how one can obtain sense gratification in a religious way, religious sense gratification or karma kanda. So therefore, pure devotional service is not prominently mentioned in the Vedas. Therefore, it is said that by study of Vedas, one may understand how to do karma kanda, how to religiously obtain sense gratification, how to perform different yagyas and get different benedictions. But that need not bring one to a point or conclusion that Supreme Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and goal of our life is to love, serve Krishna and ultimately go back to Krishna at the end of our life. One may not come to this conclusion because that information is not very popular, is not prominently displayed on the Vedas. So, but it is there in the Vedas. If one digs deep into the Vedic knowledge, one will come to the same conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Goal of human life is to love and serve Krishna in surrendered way, and ultimate goal is to go back to Krishna at the end of one's life. That's it. Everything else is secondary. So secondary and should be done to the extent it help us achieve our primary goal. So that is why it is said that in the material world everyone is fallible, everyone is fallen. That's why they are in the material world. Everyone in the jail is a criminal. That's why they are in the material world. So 17th verse says that everyone in the spiritual world is infallible, which means everyone who's reached the spiritual world, reached the spiritual abode, reached Krishna Loka, they are infallible because they are not there. The only objective of their life is to love and serve Krishna and act only for the pleasure of Krishna. So they have no other desire left. So everyone in the spiritual world is infallible, everyone in the material world is fallible. And Krishna says there is a third category of being, and I am the greatest and celebrated in both worlds as the supreme personal. There's a Uttama Purusha, which is beyond both this world, and I'm beyond the fallible, infallible, both. So there are two classes of being, the fallible ones and the infallible ones. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord, who has entered three worlds and is maintaining these three worlds because I am transcendental to both the world and fallible and infallible. And because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Whoever knows me as the supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures, O sinless one. And it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understand this will be wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. The last two verses, Yomam evam asamudho janati purushottamam sa sarva vida bhajati imam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So the knowledge that Krishna is Purushottamam, Uttama Purusha, uh, should lead us to become his devotee. Sa sarva vida bhajati imam, sarva bhavena bharata. So repeatedly we are seeing 13.26, 14.26, 15.19. We are constantly seeing that every action, every knowledge should lead to produce some action. We should act in that knowledge. It should just, knowledge is not just for making a scholar. Knowledge is meant to be translated in the action, and that action is uh, constantly hammered as bhakti yoga. Wholeheartedly performing devotional service is the action, is the only action that we need to take. Sa sarva vida bhajati imam Sarva Bhavena Bharata. Mam is also very prominent. You don't have to worship anyone else. Very prominently, Krishna has been speaking that why he only has to be worshipped, why only he has to be remembered. He does not want any duality, any confusion left in the mind of people, his devotees, that if not Krishna, can I worship someone else? No, the answer is no. Sa sarva vida bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Krishna says, Anta kalecha mam evam smaran muktva kalevaram. So he's been very clear. He's not confused. And we also shouldn't become confused and try to find different path when they don't exist. Just simply take to Krishna consciousness, love and serve Krishna during our lifetime, become humble, go back to Krishna by remembering Krishna at the end of our life. Simply to hear like hog is not sufficient. Hog is swar or dukkar. So Prabhupada writes in very strong way, simply to hear like hogs is not sufficient. And One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate out academically. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita, and these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna knows the purpose of Vedas. No one else knows the purpose of Vedas. इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम इदम उक्तम मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिनासन् स्कृतकृत्यस्य भारत. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed by me. Whoever understand this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. To summarize, um, the ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to detach oneself from the entanglement of the material world and to understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once you understand, whoever understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead should immediately surrenders unto him and engage in his devotional service. Knowledge should lead to action. Only knowledge, no action is useless. Only action, no knowledge is also useless. Knowledge should lead to action. So inquire, have knowledge, and then act. Again, get more knowledge and increase your activity. Again, increase your knowledge, increase your activity. Now, this can go on perpetually. There is no end to the knowledge, and also there are no end to the activities in devotional service. So both can go on perpetually forever. That is what happens in the spiritual world. Knowing Krishna is impossible. Full knowledge about Krishna is impossible because Krishna has unlimited knowledge, and the knowledge about Krishna is unlimited, and the way we can worship, love, and serve Krishna is also unlimited ways. And so, this is the goal of life. Know about Krishna with knowledge, engage in devotional service to Krishna in surrender mood. We now, having understood the same, are expected to do as directed above. A devotee holds nothing back, and nothing holds a devotee back. If you become a devotee, the wholehearted, the word we often use in terms of devotional service, that we have to love and serve Krishna in a wholehearted way. Means we have to hold nothing back. We have to wholeheartedly give everything to Krishna, give ourselves to Krishna, and Krishna will accordingly reciprocate with us. Similarly, nothing holds a devotee back. We could be all in good condition right now, but and the situation may change tomorrow, and the health situation can change, the financial situations can change, the relationship can change, and there could be troubles, political troubles, and so many other troubles can come up on our head, and we have to be devotee and remain devotee, continue to perform devotional service in an uninterrupted way, no matter what conditions we come into, which we got ourselves into. So nothing holds a devotee back. No external situation will hold a devotee back. He will not stop performing devotional service. He will continue to perform devotional service in every condition, any condition. And so that is the meaning, that devotee holds nothing back and nothing holds a devotee back. Our endeavors for devotional service comes from the chanting and hearing. The chanting in the morning, hearing in the evening. All of you are requested to take full advantage of this. We'll break for a quick question answer session if there are any, or else we have concluded our discussion on chapter 15.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for that elaborating on that part of Sarvid Bhakti Mam Sarva Bhavena Bharata. And maybe by learning this from you, we will be more, means with the more devotion, we will be engaged into the loving devotional service of Lord. Like we will try to chant with more focused attention. We will try to see that Krishna is actually everything. He is all doer in the background, and we are just the instrument in his hand, and we will be rather more pleased to be instrument in his hand. And in that way, we will try to make this knowledge that you gave, the more deep knowledge that you gave, more and more implementable in our life. And we will keep seeking your wonderful guidance and wherever and where whatever it lacks into implementing that. Thank you very much for your wonderful
Thank you so much, Guru.
discussion on this wonderful chapter,
There's a
Guruji.
question. I'll just take that question quickly.
Okay.
How does knowledge of Purushottam Yoga lead to liberation, moksha? So, knowledge of Purushottam Yoga, as we can go through the slides and there's a flow, it should give you a desire. Now, we all seek a person, seek a controller. Now, when we know we are not in control, we need to know who is in control and to what extent they have control, what is governing that control, what basis they control us. So this is the information that is naturally we are likely to seek. So when we get that answer, that Krishna is that controller, and basis what Krishna is controlling, basis our karmic reactions, that Krishna is controlling us. And if we because we are not surrendered to him today, he is giving us the fruits of our actions without, as a udasina vadasina, just like a judge deliver judgment. Krishna is giving us sufferings and moments of happiness without any involvement. But if we choose to become his devotee, as Krishna says in 9.29, that if you sama sarveshu sama Krishna says in the sama sammoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyo priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya Maiteshu Chapyaham. Basically, Krishna says, Sammoham Sarva Bhuteshu. I am equal to everyone. And Name Dveshostina Priyaha. I am neither envious of anyone nor anybody is priya to me. However, Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya. If you become my devotee, and if you perform devotional service to me, if you choose to love and serve me, Mai te teshu chapyaham. I will do favor to you. I will become, I will become friend. I will become friend with you. I will do favors to you. And this opportunity is available to everyone, irrespective of their nationality, being male, female, educated, uneducated, rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy, beautiful, not so good looking, learned, not learned, whatever be your qualification. There's no qualification to become Krishna devotee. There is no qualification, pre-qualification required for us to become Krishna devotees. So to that extent, he is impartial. Impartial. He is giving offer to each and every human being to become Krishna devotee. And Krishna says, the moment you become my devotee, I can become favorable to you. I will do favors to you. So then he becomes favorable. Then he can partiality to you. He will do partiality with you. So he's impartially partial. He's partial, but he's allowing all of us to become impartial. Impartially, he's allowing all of us to become his devotee, and then he can become partial to us. And when we know that Krishna is the goal of our life, and then we are able to direct all our activities for his pleasure. So the knowledge should lead to action. So this is the principle that we have been speaking, that 13.26 insist on this, that this knowledge will give you liberation provided you shrutva upasate, you hear and then you perform devotional service. 14.26 also tells you this same thing, that you um, that performing devotional service, you will be able to overcome the modes of material nature. And 15.19 also repeat the same thing, saying that uh, knowing that if I'm a Purushottama, then all your then you can then you need not be multi-branch. You don't have to. It's like when you know that by pleasing your father, you know who your father is, and by keeping your father, pleasing your father, you will be able to get everything that you want. then you will not go to each and every man in their society. You can simply go to your father and ask whatever you want. Similarly, when you go to Krishna and ask whatever you want from Krishna, you don't have to be multi-branch. You don't have to go to 10 different gods. You need not go anywhere rather. Because Krishna is the provider of everything, even material, even spiritual. So you can then concentrate all your energies, time, and effort to only make Krishna happy, and thereby making your uh, performance of devotional service easier. Single pointed focus with single pointed focus on Krishna, so that it gives you success. That is how knowledge of knowing that Krishna is the Uttama Purusha will allow us to direct all our efforts, time, energy in worshipping Krishna alone. And by that, Krishna will then reciprocate with us. With that reciprocation, we can go back to Krishna. So that is how you can understand that this knowledge can give us liberation ultimately.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी आहित की कृपा मीन्स थोड़ा बताएंगे उसका क्या होता है
अहेतु की कृपा. So Hetu ki Kripa is what Krishna is doing with us. Now Krishna is providing. Now think of those who are his non-devotees. Why should Krishna provide them with sun and moon? We saw that in the verse 12, 13, 14 that Krishna, those who are non-devotees, Krishna is providing for them also. And we see practically in the material world, those who are living life in an atheistic way, Krishna is giving them also, giving them whatever they, to the extent he's not interfering into their life, whatever they desire, whatever is due to them as per their karma, they are getting the results of their actions. So Krishna has been kind with everyone. It's if we know someone hates us, our attitude towards that person will be negative. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is equally providing benefits to the extent they are due to them. They deserve what they deserve. They are given that, without keeping any having any bad feelings about they, because they are hating him. They are envious of him. Krishna says, "Sammoham sarva bhuteshu, न मैं द्वेष्योस्ति न प्रियः." न मेरा कोई प्रिय है और न मैं किसी से द्वेष करता हूँ. बट जो मेरा भक्त है उनसे मैं अधिक स्नेह करता हूँ, which is natural. So Krishna not envying, but that is not natural for us. For us, we know somebody is having enmity towards us, we will also have enmity towards him. But Krishna is not like that. So this is his ahetuki kripa. कोई हेतु नहीं है कृष्णा का उसके पीछे. When Krishna is there, Krishna is providing them with facility for sense enjoyment. Krishna is just hoping that someday they will realize that he's the real goal, and their real happiness is in the spiritual world. And he this is only his hope, but he's not interfering into their life of those people. So he's providing them with whatever they are deserving, so that they can continue to enjoy or suffer in the material world. So this is his ahetuki krupa. Similarly, we can have ahetuki krupa from Guru. When he see our sincere endeavor, they can give us a Hetuku Kripa, by which our bhakti, we can make rapid progress in bhakti. And so it depends on how we are able to attract mercy from Guru, or from Krishna. So we can get, devotees get dreams sometimes, the dream Guru Maharaj come and give us some instruction. In dream, Krishna can come and give us some instruction, and give us some instruction, give us some knowledge, so that our faith in Krishna can increase. Do we deserve to get a dream? Do we deserve to have a face-to-face interaction with Krishna, by at our current level of bhakti? We may not, but Krishna is not uh, holding things back. Krishna, when Krishna wants, Krishna can give that spiritual happiness to anyone. There is a section in Bhagavatam where Narad Muni gets vision of Krishna, where and then Krishna says, "This is only a glimpse I am trying to show you. You don't deserve it in your current body, so you will not see me again as long as you are living in this body as a dasiputra. But you perfect your bhakti in this life. When you will give up this life, you will get a spiritual body, and in that body you will be able to continuously see me." So that boy, a 5-year-old boy, he give up that body eventually and obtain body of Narad Muni, and he becomes Narad Muni. And as Narad Muni, he has 24-hour vision of Krishna. Without restriction, he can go anywhere and he can meet Krishna anytime. He can actually practically see Krishna all the time. So, but in his previous life, he was given a glimpse. So that was ahetuki bhakti, ahetuki krupa. That was ahetuki krupa. Similarly, we can get our own small experiences while performing devotional service. Sometimes we may develop a taste for Harinam. In Mangal Aarti, our eyes can moist with water, tears. We may not have developed a lot of love for Krishna, but when we sing Guru Aarti, when we see Krishna's beautiful form early morning, 4:30 in temple, and devotees singing with love, Samsara Davanala Lidaloka, that our heart can get choked, our eyes can get watered. That experience of spiritual joy, spiritual happiness, ecstasy we can get by Krishna's mercy. Even that is Ahetuki Kripa. We Krishna wants to give us, just like when a child is trying to study, we keep giving some incentive to the child so that child can take up study nicely. Similarly, Krishna may also want to give us some small dose of incentive that get one spiritual one experience of spiritual happiness which can make us drudha in our determined in our bhakti. दृढ़ का अपोजिट होता है फ्लिकरिंग. फ्लिकरिंग मतलब आज अच्छा लग रहा है मैंने कर दिया जब, कल से अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है तो मैं नहीं करूंगा. आज मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है तो मैं सब कुछ रीड करूंगा, मैं मंदिर जाऊंगा, 1 घंटा भगवान के सामने बैठूंगा. और बाकी मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है तो मैं 2 महीने हो गए मंदिर ही नहीं गया, मैं देखा ही नहीं, मुंह नहीं देखा भगवान का. इट्स लाइक दैट. दिस इज फ्लिकरिंग. नो, दिस विल नॉट टेक अस फार. Flickering bhakti, we should be determined in our bhakti. No matter good, bad, ugly situation that we will be in, we will still chant, we will still read Bhagavad Gita, we will still hear about Krishna. At every available opportunity we will do that. So this is that is also comes, this ahetuki kripa comes, is attracted by our determined bhakti.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
We have one more hand raised. So Pooja Mataji, you have a question?
No, Prabhuji.
Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Jisha Mataji, you have a question. I think there's a question in the chat box. I'll just try to take that last question.
Prabhuji, I have one question, if you don't mind.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. I read it somewhere that chapter 15 is supposed to be very auspicious, that it can be recited at the time of birth as well as at the time of death also, or even any auspicious or inauspicious occasions. I mean, it is kind of a chapter which can serve all the purposes. How I mean, and the Vedic Shloka 20, which says the Vedic Gyan which Prabhuji has given, God has given. Is it a right thing, place, this particular chapter?
Yes, Prabhuji. So is to often is to see that a lot of, especially when people depart, and so people depart at that time. This can be chanted at the time of birth. Also, this can be chanted just to give us a reminder. But birth, people will not be very inclined to hear that this is this is my child, this is my baby. That loving feeling is so prominent. Uh,
Right.
that time people may not be wanting to hear, but definitely at the time of death or
Death.
when people are about to leave their bodies, this chapter can be chanted. Chapter 2, chapter 15, chapter 18, these are the chapters that can be chanted at during those times. And then
Okay.
because as you would have seen the flow of this chapter open with this Urdu Mula Mother Shakam, talking about
Right.
the illusory nature of this material world itself.
World. Yeah.
And it opens with that, and then it ends with this saying that iti guhyatamam shastram idam muktam maya nakha. So this is a secret. This is a secret knowledge of all the Vedic knowledge. This is the most confidential part of all the Vedic knowledge. So it
Correct.
ends with that, and with the conclusion of Vedas given in 16, 17, 18. Then Purushottama, introducing who that Purushottama, Uttama Purusha is. Krishna says, I am that Purushottama. And so giving us, it's a complete package in one sense.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that way it can help us. It talks about the process of transmigration. So we did it in 2 hours. It can be done in 2 months also, the same chapter. So
Right.
it is that vast and that detailed. So that way, the whole process of transmigration, the process of the concept of soul, how it moves from one body to another, and all that was spoken in the past in the second chapter in other previous chapters, but that is again elaboratedly discussed over here in more greater details. So in that sense, this help us get a good perspective of the whole Bhagavad Gita in one chapter itself, in these 20 verses. So that's why
Oh,
it's always there are a lot of devotees, as I mentioned earlier, that they have memorized this chapter and they keep chanting this chapter again and
okay.
again as a reminder that when they go out to work in the world, they need to be reminded that yes, this is Urva Mula Mada Shakham. This is an illusory world. I don't have to take illusion seriously. I don't have to take my dream seriously. I'll do my best, but I should know that everything is anyway temporary. Even if I
Right.
get success, that's temporary. Even if I fail, that's temporary. So let me do my best and move on. So like that, they are able to, with the help of this chapter, beautiful verses in this chapter, they are able to deal with this world in better way, negotiate well in this world, negotiate through ups and downs in this world. That way,
Thank
it's
you,
very
Prabhuji.
helpful. Yeah. Okay, so no other questions I can see. So let's conclude today's session. Thank you everyone for joining today. It got a little late till almost 1:30. So hope you all have a very nice Krishna conscious week ahead. Do join for Japa sessions. Do read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam wherever possible, whenever possible, and try and remain Krishna conscious as much as you can till we meet next Sunday with chapter 16. Thank you so much for joining. Shri Jagannath Baldev
Thank
Subhadra
you
Mai ki
so much,
jai.
Prabhuji.
Baat ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna to all.
Thank you,
हरी
Prabhuji.
Thank
Dandavad.
you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna
much,
Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Prabhuji. Hare
Dandavad
Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you,
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.